Before the broomstick and the black hat, before the trials and the terror, who truly held the power of the unseen? In the dawn of human civilization, the figures we would later label witches were revered. They were not outcasts, but essential pillars of their communities, bridging the gap between the mundane and the mystical. Tonight, we journey back to the very origins of spiritual power, to understand the shamans, seers, and wise women whose ancient roots run deep in the human story. Across the ancient world, these spiritual practitioners took many forms, yet shared a common thread, a profound connection to the spiritual realm. In the snow-laden lands of the Norse, the *Volva* commanded respect, a wise woman who could foretell the future and interpret the will of the gods. Among the Celts, male and female druids were not merely priests, but judges, healers, and keepers of sacred knowledge, deeply attuned to the rhythms of nature. Further east, in Mesopotamia, powerful *2* priestesses served in temples, communicating with deities and performing intricate rituals that shaped the spiritual and political landscape. And in countless indigenous cultures worldwide, the shaman was, and often still is, the spiritual leader, a healer, a visionary, and a guide between worlds. These weren't isolated figures, they were integral to the fabric of society, their wisdom sought after, their powers respected. The practices of these ancient seers were as diverse as the cultures they served, yet all shared a fundamental connection to the natural world. Healing was paramount, they possessed an intricate knowledge of herbs, poultices, and spiritual remedies to mend both body and spirit. Their understanding of the earth's bounty allowed them to cure ailments, ease pain, and even guide childbirth. Beyond healing, they were masters of divination and prophecy. Through dreams, trance states, animal omens, or the interpretation of natural phenomena, they offered glimpses into the future, guidance for difficult decisions, and insights into unseen forces. They were the community's counselors, peacemakers, and storytellers, weaving together the wisdom of generations. Their power wasn't seen as supernatural in the modern sense, but as an inherent part of the natural order, a sacred gift, often passed down through lineage or intense spiritual training. They understood the language of the winds, the whispers of the trees, and the messages carried by the stars. Their magic was the magic of profound connection. For millennia, these figures were held in high esteem, vital intermediaries between humanity and the divine. Their authority was rooted in their connection to ancient traditions, wisdom, and the land itself. However, as societies evolved, so too did belief systems. The rise of more centralized, patriarchal religions brought with it a fundamental shift in perception. As new doctrines spread, often with a singular, hierarchical view of divinity, the pluralistic spiritual landscape of the ancients began to be challenged. The direct, personal connection to the spiritual world, often embodied by female practitioners or those outside official religious structures, started to be viewed with suspicion. This was a slow, insidious process, not an overnight transformation. The revered wisdom of the wise woman, the potent spirituality of the shaman, began to be reinterpreted through a different lens, one that would ultimately cast a long, dark shadow. Despite centuries of attempts to erase them, the echoes of these ancient practitioners persist. Their knowledge of herbal medicine forms the bedrock of many traditional healing practices still recognized today. The rich tapestries of folklore and mythology, passed down through generations, are brimming with characters who embody the traits of these early shamans and seers, from the Cailleach in Celtic myth to figures of prophecy in Norse sagas. Their enduring influence reminds us that the human impulse to connect with the unseen, to seek healing and guidance beyond the purely material, is ancient and deeply ingrained. They remind us that before fear took root, there was reverence, before condemnation, there was community, and before the witch hunts, there was the wise one. From venerated healers and powerful seers to feared outcasts, how did this dramatic and devastating transformation begin? How did a figure once indispensable to her community become the very embodiment of evil? Join us next time on Witches, as we delve into the medieval era, exploring how the rise of organized religion reshaped spiritual power and laid the groundwork for the darkest chapters in witchcraft history. If you're intrigued by these untold stories, remember to like this video, share it with fellow history enthusiasts, and subscribe to our channel so you don't miss the next chapter in this fascinating series.